Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Angel Lyn. Mrs. Angel, how are you doing, ma?
Beautiful. So happy to be here and to get to visit with you today.
Yes, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mrs. Angel. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a soul mentor. Can you please,
Mhm.
Mrs. Angel, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Angel?
Yes. So the title Soul Mentor came about more recently in my life as I was looking for an adequate term to describe how I interact with clients. More than 20 years ago, I received my master's degree in clinical social work, preparing to become a therapist, a licensed clinical social worker. And I got into the field and began working in that field and was disillusioned. I was surprised by the realities of the mental health field in America. While they called it a helping profession during my schooling years, the truth of my experience when I got into the professional world was that it was a money making machine. That people in our country are being seen for mental health issues, diagnosed with disorders, and then prescribed medications medication for every mood disorder that they have. So all of my clients were being put on medications, not by me, but by the psychiatrist in the office, who they also saw, the medical doctor that works specifically with mental health. And the impact of the medications, I could see it in their faces that their eyes were glazed over. They lost the light, the life and it looked like they were under the influence of a substance, just somebody's like when somebody's been drinking alcohol, their eyes get kind of glazed over. So I'd be talking with these people in counseling sessions, trying to help them. And it was like they were basically numb, like checked out, like they could not feel the depth of human emotion anymore. And the more I investigated, the more I discovered that in our country, there is a lot of money in prescription medication, and that those medication companies, they lobby and they affect legislation. They put a lot of money into getting people into power who will further their business opportunities. And so all of that money uh, was involved in therapy and clinical therapy. And then the other piece we have is we have insurance companies. And these insurance companies decide who they'll pay for and what needs they'll pay for and what they won't. So I had clients that were getting therapy for past traumas and issues. And then all of a sudden, their insurance would say, "We're not paying for any more session. You only got to have this many sessions." So there I was working as a therapist and just feeling like my hands were tied. I couldn't actually help people because these other forces, these other entities had so much power and control over the healing process. So I pulled out of working in clinical therapy. And for years, I spent about 14 years raising my own family. I gave birth to 5 sons in 8 years, and I homeschooled them, and I was just involved in their development. And nutrition and physical activity came in with 5 boys. They don't want to sit around. They don't want to sit at desks and do their schoolwork. They want to be out and be moving. So as I was raising them, I began to read and study about the impact of nutrition and physical exercise on mental health. And that missing piece had not been taught in my education. And as the more I dug, the more I found that there is a real positive benefits and research-based benefits to exercise and high density nutrition to help overcome things like depression and anxiety and different mood disorders. So I became passionate about that piece as well. And then in 2016, I had my own spiritual awakening. And when I found that part, it was like all the dimensions of myself finally aligned: the mind, the body with fitness and nutrition, the heart with our emotions, and the soul, the essence inside of us, or the spirit. That came, and I realized if we can sit down together, and if I can help bring your awareness to how your mind is operating, what limiting beliefs you have, what program scripts you're recycling because people around you taught you to think this way, and how that and what your body's carrying, what you're holding on to, what your organs are hanging on to and not releasing, and then what your spirit's trying to say to you. That's when I became known as the soul mentor. It's because I help people reconnect to their soul and use that part of themselves as their primary voice of authority, because most of us outsource our authority to people in position over us. When we're little, it's our parents, then it becomes teachers, then it becomes bosses, employers, community leaders, church leaders. All these other people seem to dictate the direction we should go in our life. And we quietly miss that, or we've missed that quiet voice. You know, there's this inner whispering, and a lot of times our head will talk us out of it. No, you can't follow that dream. You shouldn't want that. You shouldn't go in that direction because these people say this is a better path for you. So my aim is to help people reconnect in here and trust that inner voice and allow themselves to be the primary author of their life story.
Honestly speaking, that shows how life is being a circle. You know, that's it shows the circle life is, despite the triumphs that you faced, from this pharmaceutical industry, from the innovator, from the people that you've had during the historic time to come out of it and also have five good sons to definitely take care of them in a way that you know that they will definitely be improved to the society. And also try your best to be a soul mentor despite helping people to the soul. Because, as you said earlier, I also agree with you. During our time now, a lot of people are being forced to do what they are not usually normally meant to do, what they do not really want to do in life, and it is not really helping. It really affects the soul. And when the soul is dead, a lot of things affect it. So, as a soul mentor, definitely we definitely need that. The soul is the most important, one of the most important thing we need to deal with to have a more fulfilled life. And that is why I would like to dive to your book, Soul-U Evolution, Mrs. Angel. Can you please discuss more on the book? And do you please have more books you are planning to write in the coming future, Mrs. Angel?
Thank you. Yes, the book Soul-U-lar Evolution is spelled SOUL. It's about the evolution of the human soul, and the subtitle is A Mormon Woman's Transcendent Journey to Love. Half memoir, the story of my experience, and the second half is self-help steps. They're experiments that I lay out that people can try for themselves to have the experience of connecting to their soul and separating the voice of their soul from the voice of what I would call the ego. The ego to me is the mind that has been programmed with external voices of authority to what you should do, what you have to do, what you need to do. All of these pressures from society, from your schooling organization, from your family of origin, from your culture, your ethnicity. We have all of these that program the script in our mind, and we develop this ego as we grow. And it's the part of us that's trying to gain acceptance, approval, love from those people outside of ourselves. So when I realize, oh, if I do what you say, you'll love me, you'll approve of me, you'll take care of me. I start to do those things. And is it organic and authentic to what my soul wants? No. So we start to morph, and it's like we become these puppets or these robots that are programmed by other people. And the soul is this inner voice that came with us into this body when we were born, I believe. So my memoir is talking about my experience and what it means to be a Mormon woman. Mormon is also known as Latter-day Saint or member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I was raised in Utah in the United States, and it's predominantly heavily dominated by the Mormon culture. So I was born into a very high demand religion. It's of Christianity, but it's super strict. They dictate really everything you think and believe, the way you dress, your weekly schedule. Like every Sunday, you are in church for 3 hours. And then during the week, you're supposed to have a family night and then go to an activity at church another night. And all of these things were dictated. So I was raised thinking that if I did certain things right, I would get into heaven. And there was a lot of things to do. It was like a checklist. Study my scriptures every day, pray over every meal, pray morning and night, attend our temple and participate in rituals, wear clothes. Like there was a strict health code. We couldn't drink coffee, no tea, definitely no alcohol. We didn't have sex before marriage, all. And when I was growing up, it was a very secure and safe environment. But when I became an adult and I got married and I had all these kids and I was trying so hard to do all of it right so I could get into heaven. There was a high pressure for perfection, and it never felt like I was able to do everything right. I felt like I'm letting God down. I'm not enough. I'm failing, whether it was in my marriage or raising these kids or serving the community. It was just like I felt like this hamster on a wheel that was just running, running, running to the point of exhaustion, and like I could never get it right. And then one day I got a phone call. There was a warrant out for my husband's arrest. And that's primarily where the book kicks off, is that after working so hard to try to create this perfect or righteous life, my husband, who was very active in the church, he was even had held positions of clergy and had been employed by the church as an interpreter. Like, I thought that we were very church centered. And then I discovered there was this warrant out for his arrest. And there was a beautiful thing that happened in that moment. I walked into my bedroom and closed the door to be alone. Shocked. This was the person I thought I knew. And there was a whole bunch of lies, a whole bunch of hidden activity. And I could not believe that this was real. And I wanted to know, what do I do? Who do I turn to? Where do I go for advice? And I looked at all of my bookshelf, and it had so many church based books. And I thought, I know this material really well. And there's not one chapter or one verse that says what to do when there's a warrant arrest. I'm not going to find that in the scriptures. And so I paused a moment and thought, I have put a lot of trust in this other human, in this husband of mine. And look, humans are fallible. Humans make mistakes. Humans. And I thought, who am I trusting? And that's when I realized, Angel, your whole life you have trusted other people to be your guiding force. And I was going outward to them to go upward to God. Like, whatever they said God wanted from me, I would do it. Whatever this person said God wanted. And in that moment, I was like, why am I outsourcing my own connection to my creator? Why am I outsourcing my connection to the being that created me? If there is a God, and that's where I started in my room in that moment, closed my eyes and said, God, if there is a God that created this woman, will you please talk to me? What do I do next? And as soon as I asked a question, I had a thought come to my mind. Put chicken in the crock pot. And I thought, I almost pushed it away. That doesn't make any sense. I have a very important question right now about my life and my marriage. And I paused and went, wait a minute. I just asked a question, and a very strange thought appeared. Either there is God that answers that question, or there's not. I'm going to experiment, and I'm just going to follow that directive. So I went to the kitchen and got some chicken out, put it in this crock pot to cook. And as I did that, I looked over and remembered I have 5 children that are going to need to eat dinner today. And I wasn't thinking about my children because I'm shocked. What am I going to do if my husband gets arrested and put into jail? What am I going to do to provide? What am I going to do about our business? I was really focused, and I had forgotten I need to feed my children. In that moment, I realized God cares about the details. God was taking my hand and saying, honey, you're in shock right now. Let me remind you to feed your children. And if you walk with me, if you talk with me, if you take everything to me, I will help you step by step, day by day, with answers that are small and answers that are big. And I just began to live that way in May of 2016, waking up and saying, God, what would you have me do? Even though I have a whole schedule, here's my appointments and what I think I need to do, I set that aside and I ask God, what would you have me do today? And there are many, many hundreds and where I thought I should be going one direction. And the answer that came when I said, what would you have me do, was clearly go somewhere else. So, one example that I want to share is I was driving to work and I'm thinking I need to be at work at this certain time. We have a staff meeting, my schedule. And I was driving and I thought, God, I didn't pause this morning yet and ask, what would you have me do? Because I think I already know what I'm supposed to do. But let me check in. And God said, don't go to work. Go to his house, gave me the name of a person. And I'm a little bit nervous. What happens if I don't show up at work? Will they fire me? Will my boss be mad? And then it's, who do I serve? In this time of my life, I was learning to serve God above humans. That the most important thing in my life was the approval, love, acceptance, and belonging with my creator. That upsets another human. that's okay, because that human is not my God. If I keep a human need above God, they are my idol of worship. And I discovered I had a whole bunch of idols. I idolized my own reputation among men. I'm not going to make it to staff meeting today. I have something else that has come up. And I followed the direction to show up at someone's house who wasn't expecting me, and I didn't know why. But I knocked on the door, and he opened the door and he said, Angel, what are you doing here? And I said, you tell me. God told me to come right now. And this young man began to cry and say, I've been contemplating taking my life. And I said, well, apparently God doesn't want that to happen. So those are the many types of dictate people to get to God. I just started getting still, meditating, visualizing my spirit. What does my spirit look like? She's a being of light that has unconditional love. Eyes and see that, I talk to her and I ask her to help me to live life from a place of unconditional love and to go in every moment. And that created a bifurcation, meaning a division in my path, that I stopped living in accordance with humans and what they want. Play a lot of games. There's a lot of drama, conflict, competition, judgment. And I discovered that my soul and my creator always guide me in the direction of love and expansion. So my story just gives you a step by step of how this unfolded for me. And then it provides experiments so that people can drop in and reconnect their own body in amazing ways.
I am so 100% glad that you actually recovered and you actually realize some truth when it comes to life. And I have to be honest with you, hundreds, thousands, even millions of people are passing through this same thing you said earlier. A lot of people normally believe that I have to get through someone before I can get through God. I think I do not know why that belief is there, but I usually know it's something that is really, really outside now. In my place here, it is rampant. Like it is really, really rampant. Some people can't do something without going through someone. And we have to know something. We are human beings. I, as a guy,
Mhm.
I have to admit that sometimes I used to have the weakness of the flesh. It is not easy. As human beings, we normally get to a point whereby we can make mistake, and that is life. But if we are directly in contact with our soul, with the God we are serving, He will never fail us because He is the one. He is the creator. He sees you
Mhm.
and he sees, and most of the time, that is just the best way I've lived my life. I lived my life to connect with the creator, and He always see me, and I always see Him. And if anything is bothering me, I usually take it to him. And definitely, he usually come around and definitely assist me. And that is how I've been doing it. And the improvement has been coming in. And that is what we
Mhm.
need to understand. We do not need to say I have to go through this person. We definitely know that sometimes in life some things will be difficult. We have to seek help. We have to speak to people and say I'm passing through something like this. That is a different case. But there are some situations in life we have to know that this is the person I have to get in contact with. We are the God of ourselves. Like I
Mhm.
just said that the God is in us. We shouldn't try to use someone as a boundary because I don't know, but that is the thing that happened. We definitely need to understand that. And I have to be honest with you, Mrs. Angel. I am very glad you actually realized it. You're not living to your true self. Whether you made a mistake or you do not, you are making the contact directly, which will make
Mhm.
one to live more freely, more happier, and to have the right direction one need in life. And I'm so much glad that you have that. And that is why I would like to honestly dive to the point of consistency. Consistency is very important when it comes to spiritual awakening. So, what role do you think consistency play in spiritual awakening? And how do you think people can stay in paths when life gets noisy or really hard, Mrs. Angel?
Mhm. I think it's easiest to align it or compare it to things that we do every day. One of the things that many of us do every day is charge our electronic devices. We have cell phones, and if you don't charge your phone, the battery dies and you can't use it. So we're very vigilant about, oh, seeing the notice that I have a low battery and you go plug it in, let it charge. Well, when you realize that spirituality is the same way, that if you are not charging yourself by plugging in and spending time later, that energy, that guidance, that voice, it will slowly go to the back burner, and you'll be focused on all these things that are distracting you in your everyday. So for me, the most helpful time is when the sun rises. So at the beginning of every day, it's a perfect time to begin again, to start over, to plug in. And I like to be outside. I like to have my bare feet in the dirt or the grass of touching the earth. And I like to put my face to the sun and just deeply breathe and get centered, and then have that space where I'm just filled with gratitude for the elements, gratitude for the beauty of the earth, for the creations of God, flowers, plants, trees, birds that I can hear. And I love to start feeling that gratitude and then ask, what would you have me do as a disciple and servant of you on the day? Where and when can I have influence? Where and when can I be your hands and your heart to touch other humans' lives? And that is that just some forgotten to do that, or I've slept in too long. And so I got up rushing to my appointment, and I end up feeling like I have a low battery. I feel like there's not a lot of peace. There's more tension, there's more chaos, more stress, there's more overwhelm. I'm getting wrapped in the things of the world. And if I go back to the routine of just having that sacred morning routine, is what I call it. It's a sacred morning routine. It is a imperative time for me to plug in, then everything else I can handle. I seem to handle it well. And at the end of the day, other time to check in. I like this quote I heard by a friend named Richie Norton. He said, every sunset is an opportunity to reset. That's one of his favorite lines. And I love that too, that the end of the day is this beautiful reminder as the sun goes down to close our day in gratitude and offer it back to God, thanking God for everything that we experienced that day, and just handing it all over with our worries, with our fears, with anything that that day brought in, just saying, I trust you, God, that my path is designed for me and I accept it and I'm here to serve. So those are a couple of things that I do to stay plugged in or charged spiritually.
That will also definitely give you as a person a sense of humility and kindness, because you have this sense of freeness to connect with nature. And nature is powerful, and you definitely know how you connect with God,
Mm-hmm.
how you communicate with God. Every single person know how they do it, but you definitely know how you communicate, and it definitely answers you. That shows that you have this kind of humility, this sense of peace, this sense of when someone wants to get into the wrong path, one will definitely be more aware that I think I'm not in the right path. I think I need to check on one or two things. I think those things are definitely going to be coming around, and that is very important and beautiful as well, because I think having those sense of connection with nature as you've been doing it is definitely also helpful to one person or the other, which also gives to the beauty to your book, Soul-U-lar Evolution. And also, I would like to ask, because a lot of people will be like, how do I start? Because some people might even
Mm-hmm.
get to that point because you've done it during when you were a child, when you usually get through people to get to, someone and stuff like that. So some people might be like, how do I start? How do I think I can start to, have this sense of spiritual awakening, this sense of spiritual
Mm-hmm.
connection? How will I do it? So if someone is listening and wants to begin this journey today, what do you think is the simplest place to start, Mrs. Angel?
I'd love to share two main things. Like we were saying about nature, spending more time in nature, observing it, because nature cannot lie. So this is one of the beautiful things that I discovered when I found out my husband was lying to me. I was like, oh, people can lie. Humans will lie to protect themselves and out of fear, but nature never lies. So I began to spend time watching how nature cannot lie. It's always telling the truth. It obeys true principles. And I would sit in nature and I would ask some of the questions that were burdening my heart and filling my mind with chaos. And I would just ask it towards a tree. I know this sounds strange, but I would put it into that context. And it was like thoughts would just come to me that were clear and true. So being, and I believe now that I've learned more, it's because that the energy vibration of nature, the frequency of truth, all at its core is an energy vibration. Everything is a frequency. And so when you're sitting in a place and you're surrounded by the true frequency of nature, it helps to calibrate your frequencies, your mind's thoughts, your body rhythms and cycles. You begin to align with that of nature. And there's, they call Earth's heartbeat. Uh, it's called soul frequencies. There's been research done on the frequencies of the Earth, and they call it the Earth's heartbeat. So that's a whole other subject. Look up that solfeggio frequencies and see what does that even mean. And it's these frequencies that the Earth emits. They're very, very calming. They're very centering. And when you align with that, it helps your mind to operate in truth instead of error. Now, going off of that, the easiest thing I teach people that I discovered because the Spirit taught me this has to do with music. When music is playing, and whether it's instruments or vocals, and you're listening, if the goes out of tune, if the music goes out of tune, like someone's singing off key, or an instrument is not tuned, how does your body react? Ever heard music that didn't sound nice? What happens in your body? Can you tell me a physical? What does it do to you physically?
Physically, I would just feel like this is not really interesting. Like I'll feel one kind. It won't be really I won't feel like the way I want to feel. I think that's the way I normally feel.
Yeah, every time I've asked people this, they usually go like this. Or they'll say the word cringe. That's the word in English that we use, but it means the physical body goes, "Ooh, that doesn't sound good." The physical body actually tenses when something is out of tune. It gets tense. And then when the music resolves, and there's the tune again, the body relaxes when it's beautiful harmonies and voices blend together and they sound so sweet. Your body will relax, so you have a physiological reaction to music when it's in tune and when it's out of tune. A technical term for that clashing is called dissonance. Dissonance means tension. Resonance is the relaxation. What the Spirit of God taught me is body is a vessel of truth, just like nature. Everything in your realm is not true. The frequency of fear, they're all frequencies that are errors. They're not truth of God. They are twisted, polluted versions that humans have messed with. So if I'm thinking something or speaking words that are not true, I have become able to notice that somewhere in my body there is a tension. There is a tightness. Maybe it's a knot in my stomach. Maybe it's my jaws getting tight or my shoulders are holding this. And I have started to notice that and go, oh, my body's telling me I'm not in tune with truth right now. So I will pause and go inward and upward and I will say, God, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm telling myself. What is true? And the thought, a different thought will come in, a judgmental thought about this other person. And here's what's true. They're suffering or they're in pain or they're, and when I let that come in and go, oh, they're just afraid, my body will relax because now I'm in tune. I have compassion comes in, unconditional love, and then I behave differently. So I have just begun to practice seeing when my body gets tense that it's trying to tell me something is out of tune with truth. And if that's the case, then I pause, I go inward and upward and say, God, what is true? What is true? Help bring me back into tune with the truth is unconditional love. So I have a belief that unconditional love and truth are the same note. If we were going to talk musically, they're the same note. We use those two words, but truth and unconditional love, I believe, are one thing. So that has become my tuning fork. I seek to bring myself into tune with truth and unconditional love in what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and how I'm acting. And the more I've practiced that, my body tells me when I'm in alignment, just like it tells me when my piano or my guitar or my voice is in tune as well. So it's a very beautiful practice to start noticing. I did that on a regular basis, the more I realized I had been living in tension for years because I had a lot of anger and frustration and resentment towards people. And the more I began to practice letting that go and asking God to teach me what is true about these people, what is true about this situation, my physical body began to relax and I could play more. And I wanted to dance more. I wanted to sing more. It was a total effect of my trust by letting go of what's not true, but using the body as a measurement tool to help guide me back to truth.
Mm. Honestly speaking, that shows that nature is powerful. I can see you right now, but it doesn't matter about the physicality. I know that that soul is very beautiful. That soul is very calming. That soul shows this kind of experience and honesty within itself, because the soul has definitely have a lot of connections with nature. It knows the truth, and it definitely knows
Mm-hmm.
how it will develop itself. And that is what I want every single person listening right now to know. We are the person that could definitely be the solution to every trauma that comes our way. And it always starts from the soul. The soul is one of, like, it's just like the source. It's just like a heartbeat that is beating, beating,
Mm-hmm.
beating. And if you know how we could connect with nature, and as you said very beautifully, music is a very powerful thing. There was a time I heard a story. There was a person listening to a negative music, and actually it actually turned that person to be negative. I think music is a very powerful thing, and that shows how one will be aligned with it. That is why I myself, as a person, I usually like all this slow song. My own best song normally is more of those Gregorian chants and all those areas that will definitely give the sense of calmness and give the sense of body closure that will definitely help. One could definitely know what definitely works for him or her, but we definitely need to work with our body, understand the body, and know how we can connect with God directly to help our soul. I'm very much happy that you are doing it well, and it is very beautiful. And I'm very much happy that you actually brought it into a very beautiful book to also make other people to learn from this thing, because these are the little things we need to know. We are human beings. We definitely make mistakes sometime, and that is the beauty of the life that we have. But the God that we're serving will definitely put us through to make sure that we definitely stay strong, stay healthy, and continue to do something great that will benefit every single person in the society. And lastly, Mrs. Angel, what do you think is one message or experiment from your book you probably hope that every reader truly experience for themselves, Mrs. Angel?
I think to start recognizing there is a different frequency between fear and love. So, learning to pause and ask yourself, what am I telling myself? A lot of people just react, but they don't stop to look at their thoughts. They don't look. Our thoughts create our emotions, which drive our behaviors. So there's an equation. Thoughts produce emotions and drive behaviors. Sometimes we only get caught up on our behaviors or other people's behaviors and judging the behaviors, but if we learn to trace them back to the thoughts, we can ask ourselves, what am I telling myself? And you look at that thought and you might be telling yourself, he's being rude to me. And if you'll ask yourself this question, is that thought coming from fear or love? This is amazing to discern how much of our life is being driven by fear. And what if fear is never the energy that God is talking to you from? What if God can give you messages of warning and discernment, but that comes from a frequency of love? It comes with a peace and an assurance. But fear makes us act into anger. Fear gets expressed as anger or frustration or annoyance. Fear will drive humans into this negative behavior patterns. So if you're telling yourself something, is my thought coming from fear or love? And you notice that it's from fear, then you want to choose to bring yourself back to love because it will be truthful. And so if I'm thinking he's being mean to me, and I said that's coming from a place of fear, you can go deeper and say, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Because it goes really deep into our psyche. I believe if someone's being mean to me, it's because I'm not worthy. It's because I'm not good enough. And you can uncover what's called an unconscious belief. And you go, oh, that is a wound I have been carrying and hiding in there for a very long time. And this person is triggering it. But what needs my love is this. It's not even about the other person right now. I need to go, here's what I'm telling myself, that I'm not lovable or that I'm not worthy. And that's why this person is mean to me. What is true? And I allow the love of God to remind me of my worth and value is infinite and inherent. And when I can feel that and I breathe it into all of my soul, my cells of my body, and I'm like, oh, now I remember my worth is infinite and inherent. All of a sudden, what someone else is saying and doing to me, it doesn't matter. And I have the spiritual eyes to see you must be in terrible pain and suffering
Mm,
to be projecting that onto me, to be saying and doing hurtful to my brother, what do to serve you? My brother that needs God's love. And I remind you, your worth and value is inherent. And it, depends on the circumstance. Sometimes that can't be spoken to a person that's irate, but it can still be shared through the eyes, heart, and through the energy. We can give off that love and we can realize that what someone is saying and doing, it's not about us. It's not about our worth and value. They are in a state of moment. They are unhappy. They are not connected to God. They are in fear or they are in shame. And it just completely changes all the relationships in my life. This has completely changed it to realize, what am I telling myself? And then, is my thought coming from the energy, the source of fear or love? Because if I'm attached to a thought coming from the source of fear, I am not worshiping my God. I am worshiping the opposite source, the alternative source. So that's one of the most powerful things in my life. It's just recognizing fear and love can't coexist. And either I'm attached to one or the other, but to have the clarity and the awareness to know which I'm attached to, and then use my agency to choose love over fear. In the way I parent, many of us parent from a place of fear. In the way I treat other people, it's a very, very simple concept, but it has incredible outcomes when you learn to practice choosing love over fear as your motivation.
mm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Angel, for the insight. Lastly, there is a question I normally ask during the end of the show. From our
Mm.
forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Angel, what do you think that thing would be, Mrs. Angel?
The truth about that love is the most important thing. Love heals, love connects. If we do anything not in the energy of love, it is not true. It is not needed to be woven into the fabric of humanity. I believe there is a consciousness rising in the earth right now, and there's a great separation in light. Some things are getting uh, more intensely um, dangerous and painful for humanity, but at the same time, there are so many individuals that in their private personal lives, they are being led back to that personal connection to the creator. And I just want to encourage people to trust the inner workings if they are feeling like they're being called to shed the programming and conditioning. Yes, the awakening that is happening. If anybody is feeling a pull inside of themselves to leave the programming and the mindset of the current situation or their upbringing, to trust it. There is an inner trust. There's a call, I believe, from our ancestors, from our spirit guides, from our angels and our God. There's a call to come home to your natural, authentic state of being, which is your essence. Your essence is love. Trust it. Let your ego, identity fall to the wayside, surrender that, sacrifice that, and step forward into your authenticity to help bring about this wave of consciousness, awakening to love, and help us flood the earth with that energy. Not only will it restore relationships among people across country borders and and ethnicities and backgrounds, but I believe this spirit, this energy will also help us to heal the environment of the earth. Humans have done so much damage to pollute the earth because of our selfish ways. And it is time for us to start holding the earth in the sacred space that it is. It's a gift from God with reverence and compassion and love. And as we walk in that spirit, we all living things with that same energy. So my message is please trust the inner voice that is whispering to you to find truth and to walk in love, to be love.
Honestly speaking, I honestly hope that the world heal. The world is really a huge. There are a lot of things happening in the world today. It's a lot.
Mhm.
If we start to name it now, we can't finish it. And this is one of a thing that is causing it. I have to be honest. This is one of the main thing that is causing it. We have to continue to build a relationship with the nature. We have to continue to build a relationship directly to God. We have to continue to know what is right for us and what is wrong for us. We have to know what is the best for us and what is also wrong for us so that we can move forward to live our true self and live a life of peace. We have this internal beauty to not live a life of selfishness or some life that we are seeing today. We definitely hope the world heal. I also honestly want to sincerely thank you for the time and the opportunity on speaking on this soul awakening. Thank you so much, Mrs. Angel.
Thank you. What a pleasure to meet you. And I'm so excited for your podcast. You have so many wonderful topics and a diversity of guests, and you are just helping to spread knowledge and enlightenment all across the world. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for following your dream and for serving humanity in this way. I wish you all the best.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Angel. Bye bye.
Bye bye.